Go for it.
Well, Special Ops Linus is a very intense and intriguing series. Was there something about the project, the premise, that really drew you to be a part of it? Maybe the scenes that you could see how they would be laid out up on the screen, or were you invited to be a part of this?
Hmm. Well, it's funny. I got a call from John Hillcoat. I guess there was a change of showrunners and directors in the leading up to when John took the first two episodes as director, and he called me and basically said, "Hey, we got one script for something that's got a lot of promise," and he sent it to me and was like, "Is there any chance you can get to Baltimore in the next week or so and start?" So know Taylor's work quite well, and very respectful of his writing and his work, and read the script, and was very intrigued by this story, which was for me a little bit different in a lot of Taylor's work in that it's a very female based story. And I read the first script, as I said, and it was quite intriguing. And I told John I'd be there in a week, and we put the show together in a few weeks and started going with one script. And fortunately, was able to talk to Taylor and get the opportunity to direct 5 and 6 as well. So off we went.
You have some incredible actors in this series. Were you familiar with any of them, or just based on the previous work that they've conducted?
Well, no, actually, I didn't know Nicole or Zoe, and obviously hadn't worked with Lysla or Stephanie or Mike Kelly before, and or Morgan or Jennifer Earl. So it was all new to me, and fortunately, my experience on directing and starting to shoot Westworld and then directing on Westworld was quite challenging and fun having an ensemble cast of that level. So when once we started special ops, and we realized Nicole and Mike were joining, and Morgan was going to join, so we could see the level of actors going up that we know that Taylor is very capable of bringing to his shows. So that was great to see that come together and have that challenge of directing them. Yeah.
How hands on are you when it becomes to directing? Is it important for you to just let the actors do their process, or do you guide them in a specific way sometimes?
Well, it's I think the biggest thing is realizing all actors have a different process how they go about things. Where you find somebody like Nicole who is very much into character. She'll go into character an hour before rehearsals start during the shooting, and so you'll be kind of speaking with her while she's in character, and that's her methodology. Whereas Zoe's very physical. Zoe loves to show up on set and kind of figure out the physicality and work through the beats of her character. And so it's part of directing is kind of allowing the process of the actors to kind of happen, and know during that, obviously there's times when actors want to pull something a certain direction or change a line, and kind of the amazing thing with Taylor and his shows is he's very much wants the script shot exactly the way they're written, and don't change the lines, don't change the action if you have time and you want to try something great. Otherwise, shoot it for what it is. And so that becomes a bit of a challenge directing as well, because obviously there's many actors, in this case many talented actors, bringing a lot of great suggestions to you, and it's part of the job is to kind of keep everything on track and kind of address everyone and kind of corral all the energy into the one vision, which is basically coming out of the script.
There's some amazing cinematically incredibly shot scenes to this series,
Mm-hmm.
and that's obviously such an incredible nod to the wonderful work and the experience you do. Was there something you saw on the page that turned out maybe even more incredibly when you watched it back in editing?
Yeah, I think it's funny, the whole opening of episode one, at the SOCOM in Syria was something that you read it and it reads very quickly on the page, and then when you go to the production meetings you talk about, well, how many how are we going to pull this off with the ISIS fighters, and how are we going to, pull this off in the ISIS compound, the number of extras, the blocking, how much dressing, and it's incredibly exciting to see the locations and kind of see the potential of it. And in this case, I ended up kind of directing and shooting some material for John before he arrived in Morocco when we finished shooting the project. But I did all the stuff with the ISIS fighters, and there's we shot much more footage of it, and it was a great challenge. But it's something you don't take lightly in terms of, like, seeing a battle incur like that at a military facility out in the middle of the desert like that. How to make that happen, how to give it some scale, and how to give it the energy to open up the series was like the big challenge in that one. So yeah, fortunately from experience, you just kind of rise to the occasion and visualize it the best you can and make the suggestions and see what they can afford to do. And fortunately, there was great support here. So I think it turned out well.
I'm sure it's beautifully shot,
Yeah.
and the performances are just exceptional. And everything that I've read so far and everything that I've seen has been so well received for
Mhm.
this series. Must make you
Oh, great.
feel quite
Yeah.
well, quite good that the hard work you've put
Yeah.
into it, it makes a series so incredibly fascinating and also just so exceptionally shot. As I mentioned, the cinematography here
Mhm.
is just exceptional.
Oh, great. Yeah, appreciate it. It was really the opportunity working with John Hillcoat and kind of putting together a lookbook and a style for the show, and is great. And then I had fabulous time shooting it with Chip Carey was the gaffer, and Kirk Corman grip, and a whole camera crew that I brought from Los Angeles to help supplement there in Baltimore. It was just fantastic to kind of it's when you start putting the camera and you start seeing it come alive, and you start seeing the characters kind of become the characters at the beginning of the series when they're kind of establishing themselves. And then for me, having the opportunity then to direct them on 5 and 6 when the characters are established, and it's now how do we kind of delicately mold these scenes for knowing where the trajectory is for the end of the series. So um that's the other fun thing on streaming is directorially often what the outcome is going to be at the end of the show, and many times the actors don't know, and they're very inquisitive. They want to know what's going to happen to their character, and part of the job being a director working on a show is not telling them, and kind of carefully kind of giving them the information they need for their characters at any given time.
Well, you directed a few episodes. Do you have one in particular that really stands out for you? Or at this point, you've directed so many episodes of different things. Is it hard for you to pick favorites when it comes to the series you've been a part of?
Well, it's funny. I would say specifically for Lioness, you know, I I I really liked the script on episode 5, and was concentrating on that because I didn't have the episode 6 script yet, and I had started prepping, so all my energy was going to that, and I felt it was going to be particularly strong episode. And then I got the script for episode 6, and it was a bit daunting. I'll be honest with you. It was kind of, I felt like, there was this is an episode where these two female characters kind of come together, in a very vulnerable way. The Lysla character and Alia. So that was the big challenge, for me, just directorially, and looking back at it, I kind of feel like in a lot of ways 6 is a stronger episode, and so I was very happy about that, and it was a great opportunity to work with Lysla and Stephanie. They're young actresses. They're incredibly talented. They were incredibly vulnerable and willing to try things, and it kind of really kind of explore and expose themselves kind of very genuinely, and the writing is so strong in the hammam scene, particularly where they're sitting and revealing themselves after that mud bath, and it's it's finding these two lost souls that in this incredibly strange set up a plot. She's there basically to befriend her and kill, to enable for the CIA to get to her father, and yet she's having feelings for Alia and kind of feeling good in certain ways the first time she can remember, in her life, and the fear on Alia getting married and her destiny, her predetermined destiny, and she's revealing that at the same time, and they're kind of experiencing this intimacy between them that we'll see what happens with that in the next few episodes. But that was the challenge, for me. I think it was how to kind of really kind of play piano through these sequences and kind of really kind of set up a safe place for them to kind of explore these characters and film it. So it was really kind of a good surprise filming those scenes there with those girls.
What's next for you? Have you started planning any projects that you would like to step into
Yeah. Yeah.
with things to come?
Yeah, well, it's been a challenging time. It's obviously with the strikes, it's hard because pretty much discussions on projects are very stop start, and it's on many levels. It's I think respectfully, a lot of people aren't talking about a lot of projects now because it's by doing so you're kind of supporting the other side of the strike there. So we're being very careful on how we proceed on certain projects. I'm looking at a film in actually maybe filming as a cinematographer over in Stockholm in early 2024, and also developing a show that I'm hoping to direct 6 episodes on. So that would be great, and that's kind of fast tracking for next summer. So once the strike kind of alleviates, and we all get back to work, I think things are going to be pretty crazy in terms of momentum out there, and we'll see. We shall see.